Hey, what's up, guys? Today I wanted to go over the 100 Thieves NRG Game 1 draft because 100 Thieves actually picked Ezreal mid in this game, and I think it's really interesting. It's a really strong pick in my opinion, something that's been far overlooked and competitive for a while now is just in general ADCs in solo lane, but specifically Ezreal in the mid lane for 100 Thieves this game. So I thought it would be interesting to go over and talk about the things that 100 Thieves did well in the draft and some of the things that I would have done a little bit differently. Overall, I'm very, very pleased though, because I think they put together a solid comp around the Ezreal mid. For the most part, but definitely some things could have been changed. So I've kept all the bans the same here for simplicity's sake, not really going to change much there. So 100 Thieves, go ahead and B1 Talia. So the reason that this is good is because 100 Thieves, as far as I know, is the only team that actually flexes Talia into jungle. And in that case, I'm perfectly okay with this as a first pick. Most teams just automatically take it in the mid lane, and when that's the case, I'm not a huge fan of it as such an early pick. Yes, the champ is strong. I've never thought otherwise. Talia is a really strong champion, not really weak at any point in the game, scales well, long range, good CC combos, good terrain control with her E. Just a solid all-around champion. She does everything. But the fact that 100 Thieves can flex her into jungle is why this pick is actually very, very good here for them. I don't know why more teams don't play Talia jungle. It's perfectly viable and honestly just as strong, if not stronger, than mid lane Talia in my opinion. So hopefully that's going to see more play. I doubt it will, but at the very least, 100 Thieves does have that capability. So definitely a very fine first pick there with Talia. NRG then go ahead and answer with Tristana and Maokai. So this is pretty basic, pretty much just probably the best tier 1 mid-jungle duo you can have. The only thing that bothers me about Tristana right now in the current meta is that no one actually flexes her. She can go bot, she can go top, or she can go mid. Yeah, she's probably best in mid. Why? Because Tristana, her range scales with level, right? So you want her to get as much XP as possible. Solo XP meaning that she levels as quickly as possible. So her being in mid lane obviously achieves that compared to being in bot lane where she's splitting XP with another. She's going to level up much slower. In my opinion, mid and top Trist is the strongest. Obviously, no one's going to be playing her in top lane, but she's definitely still viable in bot lane, especially into some weak early lanes, like maybe a Senna or a smaller lane. She could pair well with an engaged support and try to smash that lane. Either way, this is a perfectly fine rotation from NRG. There's not really a whole lot to say about it. It's basic, it's good, it's just solid. After that, 100 Thieves, go ahead and rotate the Nautilus and the Ezreal. So this is really interesting. Nautilus, I've said for a long time now, is just a really overrated champ in my opinion. I don't think it's good. It's easily counterable. The hooks often don't end up translating to advantages. In fact, many times when Nautilus is hook in, he just ends up dying. Anyways, I'm not going to talk more about that. The reason he's probably so popular is just because he has a point-and-click ultimate. Sure, Tristana can just buffer it. Even Maokai can dodge it with his W. It's probably not great, but it's picked because it's popular. I'm not really going to talk about that. The Ezreal pick here is interesting because obviously red side is under the impression that Ezreal is going to go ADC and Talia is going to go mid lane. This is the power of flex picks. I did a short a while ago about how to draft in competitive, and one of the things I talked about in that short was really utilizing flex picks. This is something that 100 Thieves is doing phenomenally right now because, like I said, red side's under the impression Talia, almost everyone picks her in mid lane, right? Everyone picks Ezreal in ADC, right? Yes, most of the time that's the case. But 100 Thieves is showing a lot of flexibility here, which is really, really good to see. And being able to flex picks like this, just one thing, for one, keeps the enemy team completely in the dark as to where their champions are going, but also creates really unorthodox matchups that they don't understand. And so who's the NRG mid laner? Palafox is probably going like, oh, I've never played against Ezreal mid lane. How do I do this? He has no idea how to play this matchup. And that gives Quid an advantage heading into the game because he knows how the Ezreal matchup works. So that's two advantages in and of itself of flex picks, and there are others. So really, really nice job from 100 Thieves here, utilizing the Talia and the Ezreal flex. Ezreal can obviously go bot with Nautilus. It's not a great pairing, but it's a fine pairing. It works. And obviously the Talia flex is still in play really, really well. And it's also good that they're maintaining the flexes as long as possible. So what you don't want to do is, okay, say you B1 Talia, you have a mid jungle flex. What you don't want to do is immediately pick her other flex position, so that immediately kills the flex. What I mean by that is, okay, she can go either jungler or mid. So what you don't want to do is on B2, B3, pick your jungler or mid laner, which kills the flex really, really early. You want to hold that flex for as long as possible and keep the enemy team in the dark as to where your champions are going for as long as humanly possible. So it confuses them and just keeps them in the unknown for the majority of the draft, which is really, really strong to do. Anyways, the Ezreal is obviously going to end up going mid this game. So I'm really happy to see that. Really good utilization of flex picks so far for 100 Thieves. And then NRG are going to completely blunder here. I actually just typed in NRG. That's embarrassing. They're going to go and pick TF here on R3. So the reason this is bad is because, well, it's a blind pick, and Twisted Fate does not do well as a blind pick. You can pick so many things into this guy. You can pick any tank that will just outscale him. You can pick Yasuo does well into him. Really, any assassin does well into him. There are so many things you can pick into Twisted Fate. You can also just match range and not interact with him. So Twisted Fate as a blind pick, again, theoretically, NRG also has two flex picks here with the Tristana, with the Twisted Fate. Even Maokai can go top jungle or support. So theoretically, on paper, they could have triple flex picks here. They could be super flexible in draft, but since they're not, and they just play quote-unquote standard meta, Trist is going mid, TF's going top, Maokai's going jungle. And it's pretty set in stone. It's standard. And they're probably assuming the same from the enemy team. But 100 Thieves has that flexibility. So maybe that's just an advantage of their specific players, or maybe it's just their willingness to try new things. Who knows? Anyways, good job from 100 Thieves so far. Through the first phase, they're definitely ahead just because of their flex potential and because, well, their matching range and their matching scaling is pretty even on both sides. But the fact is that 100 Thieves is going to get to counter top on blue side, which doesn't really get to happen often. They're actually going to get to counter both solo lanes on blue side, which really should never happen, but because of their flex picks, it does end up happening, which is really nice. On R4, NRG are going to ruin their chances even more of winning and take Rel on R4. So this is just bad. I don't know why we're picking Rel into Nautilus. That's not a good matchup. I don't know why we're picking Rel into Talia Ezreal. When is this ever going to get value? Ezreal has an E button. Talia has an E button. It just makes absolutely no sense. Rel has been one of the most overrated champs for a long, long time now. The champs is complete dog, does nothing, and especially into the champions that 100 Thieves have picked so far, it's going to get absolutely zero value. So that's a trash pick. If you want to blind pick support, well, it's not blind pick support, but you don't have your bot lane duo partner yet. Into Nautilus, you should just pick Braum every single time. You see Nautilus picked on enemy team, you pick Braum. That means that Nautilus literally cannot play the game, and it makes it super easy to play. I don't know why NRG doesn't do that. I don't know why. Maybe it's a pre-planned draft. I don't know. I don't know who's making these decisions. Another thing I'm really confused about by multiple teams doing so far in the LCS, I'm not sure about elsewhere in the world, is red side saving R5 for ADC. ADC is literally the lowest priority role in draft in terms of actual matchup. Like ADC to ADC matchup does not matter because they're rarely interacting with each other in the lane. It's really baffling to me that pro teams can't recognize this and say that, well, the ADCs are literally just going to be farming waves for the first 20 to 25 minutes of the game. Their one-on-one matchup doesn't actually matter. So why are we saving R5 counter pick for ADC when we could save it for mid, top, support, anything else that actually makes an impact in the game? It's very, very confusing. I would love to know the reasoning for NRG doing this and multiple other teams doing this, but maybe I am just missing something there. Either way, the rel is really bad. But here we go. 100 Thieves are going to round out with Renekton and Kai'Sa. So the Renekton, obviously, I'm not a big fan of. You're also picking Renekton into Twisted Fate, which probably isn't going to go very well for Renekton. Honestly, if you just pick Ornn here or literally any tank, it's going to be really, really easy to play the game. Like you go Ornn, you go Malphite, you see that they have Tristana and Twisted Fate locked in, who are both going to be AD threats, and then they have to pick another AD threat for their bot laner. So it's going to be triple ADCs with 0 AP threats. If they just pick Malphite or Ornn here, they'll auto win the game even harder. The Renekton really doesn't make any sense. It rarely ever does, but the thought process was really lacking there. I don't know if, they just asked Sniper who he wanted to play and he picked Renekton, or if the coach made him pick Renekton, I don't know. But if they just picked any tank here in the top lane, the game would have been 100% auto won. Either way, the Kai'Sa is fine. It's a really strong pairing with Nautilus inside of the lane, and Kai'Sa's not super counterable. If I'm not mistaken, does she get countered by Vayne, or does she counter Vayne? I'm not entirely sure on that matchup, but there are counters available to Kai'Sa. Are they going to be used by NRG? No, probably not. So in that case, Kai'Sa Nautilus wins most of the lane matchups it has. Renekton is supposed to win lane, but into TF, I doubt that'll happen. And then again, they still have the Ezreal flex in play. That has now switched. It's locked in with this rotation. It's locked in that Taliyah is going jungle, but they still have the Kai'Sa and Ezreal flex. Both of those are able to go mid or bot, and in my opinion, they're both really, really good. So the only issue that I really have with a Kai'Sa pick here, and really most Kai'Sa picks in general these days, is that none of them go AP. 99.999% of the Kai'Sa players are going press the attack, crit, on hit, whatever you want to call it, with it's like Kraken, Ginsu, Nashers to get all 3 of the upgrades, and it's like this weird on hit mixture build. It's not bad, but there's no reason to do it when you can have a completely 100% uninteractive game that the enemy team can't play against. If you just go AP poke Kai'Sa, enemy team, like, tell me how Rel or Maokai or anyone is going to get on top of an AP Kai'Sa. They can't play the game. And if you add in the poke from Taliyah and an Ezreal, it's going to be completely unplayable. And if you replace, again, the top lane Renekton with a tank, you have Engage, you have Frontline, you have space to buy. That would be a much more cohesive comp, in my opinion. Either way, again, the Kai'Sa is not bad, but it would be 1,000% better. Kai'Sa is always infinitely better if you go AP Kai'Sa. It's by far the most OP build. Please, please, please always go AP Kai'Sa if you're picking this champ, in solo queue or competitive, for that matter. Either way, 100 Thieves really utilize flex picks really well here. I guess I'll point out that NRG saved R5 counter to go with Smolder, which is absolutely hilarious to me. We're pairing a full engage go in support like Rel with an absolute do nothing for the first 30 minutes of the game ADC like Smolder. If I were NRG here, I would have switched the Tristana and the Smolder, sent Trist bot with Rel to match the skirmishing lane power of the Kai'Sa Nautilus, and then just let the Smolder sit in mid lane and scale against the Ezreal. That would have been a much better solution, in my opinion. They did not do that. Either way, the red side draft is just completely bonkers, off theme, not doing anything. It's literally triple ADCs with 2 engage. Like, it's just weird, and it's not going to do anything. No AP threats again, so itemization for blue side is really, really easy. And the Ezreal and the Taliyah and the Kai'Sa are going to have a really easy time playing this game. The Renekton's not going to do a whole lot, but like I said, just the utilization of flex picks here was really, really good. And in general, super, super glad to see an Ezreal mid pick. I thought that it's really strong in general for a while. I think the ADCs and solo lanes in general are also very underrated. I think Draven's playable in solo lanes. I think Aphelios is playable in solo lanes, and several others are as well, Kog'Maw. So hopefully, maybe this starts a trend. Maybe 100 Thieves have some other cool flex picks like this to bring out. By the way, I just wanted to talk about this draft. I thought it was a really interesting one. Just to recap quickly, I think the only things I would have done differently for 100 Thieves is replace Renekton with any tank and go AP Kaisa and maybe a different support pick. But the Nautilus, it's there, it's fine, whatever. Either way, really nice draft from 100 Thieves. Really glad to see new cool picks, and hopefully we get to see more in the future. Thanks for watching. See you next time.